Will your presidential vote send you to hell?
Whoa.
Okay.
Holy moly.
Aha.
Interesting.
What do you think about that? Okay.
Will it send you to hell? Wow.
So,
Well, let me be so bold to say that no matter who you're voting for, that your presidential vote can send you to hell based on the consciousness behind that vote.
That's a taste of Newsbreak. This week's episode of The Wizeguys, a podcast that unleashes the unthinkable in culture, religion, business, and everyday life. This week, they have some fun applying their wisdom to some of the current news headlines. So, it's time to step over the line, strap in, and see if you are willing to let Mac, the Red, and Coach Stu take you to a place of thinking differently.
welcome to the Wizeguys podcast, where we unleash the unthinkable and step over the line to help us see things differently and stimulate new thinking and new realities that plant a promise, an alternative, and an energized hope. Hey, we might even answer some questions you hadn't even thought to ask. Oh, that'll be a great thing for us. So, hi, I'm Mac, and I'm the host. And in this episode, us wise guys, me and the gang, we're going to have some fun applying our wise guy perspectives of maverick, mystic, and mentor, which if you've been listening to us, you're tuned into that kind of whole theme. And we're going to apply those things to some of the current news headlines. Uh-oh. And gosh. Yeah, here comes the ticker. Yeah.
Here we are.
World News Tonight with Walter Cronkite, right? Oh, gosh.
Walter Cronkite.
Those are the old days. So welcome, guys. Hey, Rev.
Good to see you, man. I'm glad to be back home on my Tuesday night recording session with you guys to plant seeds and thoughts and ideas.
Good stuff. And
Wow,
and of
that's
course,
cool. This is the coach. Hey,
Coach
how you doing,
Stu.
guys?
Hey,
How you
brother.
doing, guys? And hello to all you beautiful exotic cocktails out there. Glad you're here.
Absolutely.
Please interact with us. We love hearing from you
Yeah.
and all your uniqueness.
Yeah, and you know, we say that kind of at the beginning of our episodes, and especially this week, if we are going to talk about some stuff that either excites you, rubs you the wrong way, or you agree with us, you don't agree with us, whatever it might be, we'd love to hear it. Okay?
Especially if it rubs you the wrong way.
Yeah,
We want to hear those.
Yeah, you know,
For
there's no
sure.
doubt about it. I had to start the.
We got the news going. Beep, 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 beep,
Yeah.
beep, beep,
Oh, you
beep,
got
beep,
that.
beep,
Okay,
beep.
I'm right here. I got it. Okay. So here we are. Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about what we see on the headlines or have seen. Now, keep in mind a couple things about us, the wise guys. First of all, we don't know what the other one is going to want to talk about. So this is kind of fun. We're coming into this and we're going to respond to each other, you know, cold. We don't have a game plan.
That's a little bit scary, I'll tell you.
How about that?
I've often thought about crawling into your mind.
Oh, man, that's a place, let me tell you.
So know that about us. Know that also about us. We love each other dearly, but we're not all the same. I'm sure as you and your buds aren't. So, you know, there's might be some differences of opinion, and that's okay. I think that, you know, that's healthy. Maybe not. I mean, I'm not trying to set us up or anything here. But that's kind of cool.
But
You know?
In this corner we have weighing in.
Yeah. No, I don't want to go toe-to-toe with Stu. That'd be tough.
I'm ready.
So anyway, just know that that's kind of where we're coming from tonight. But, of course, the first piece of breaking news that I want to share with you guys is this. Did you know that NASA wants the first person to reach Mars to be a woman?
I did not hear this.
Unbelievable. Why is that? I didn't
Why
hear
is that? You didn't hear that?
I have a friend that works for NASA. He didn't tell me this.
Well, it's true because that way when the men arrive, dinner will be ready.
Oh, my gosh. I cannot participate in this.
I'm now crawling out of your mind.
That's only Mac. That's not Coach Stu. Just letting you know.
We don't agree on everything here.
There it is. Okay. It won't be me. I'm not going to be one of the guys, so it doesn't really matter to me.
Holy
So,
cow.
there we go. We're going to start with that
have no
headline,
words.
Right? We're going to start
No
with
words.
that headline. And
We just lost all the female listeners. They're gone.
no, they love us for us. I'm sure of it. Okay. I think if the ladies are listening to this, they can go back and they can twist it around. They can just turn it around. Hey, honey, did you hear that really they want men to be on Mars first? Really?
Yeah.
Why is that? Go ahead and make it.
And then, yeah.
Okay. So maybe I'll give you a little fodder for your significant other or
there
your
you
other
go.
lady.
So we're going to the headlines. The headline for tonight is sexism on display.
Both ways. As a matter of fact. All right. So we're going to dive right in. This is going to be fun.
This is what current events is like.
That's right. So I'll start off, and then you guys can add yours or however you want to along the way.
Okay.
But here's the headline. Passenger ordered to pay more than $5,000 in fuel costs after flight diverted due to bad behavior.
Ooh.
All right.
Interesting.
So I'll flesh this out a little bit more for you,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
A problematic airline passenger has been hit with an unusual form of punishment. He has to pay back the airline for the cost of fuel.
Interesting.
They had to turn the plane around and get him off.
So did the airline sue him or something?
Well, yeah, according to Australian Federal Police, a then 32-year-old man from Australia was disruptive on a flight. As a result, the plane had to turn around and go back, which meant that the pilot was forced to dump some fuel to land. Okay? All right, so now the passenger's been ordered by the courts, to pay $8,330 Australian dollars, which is about $5,000, almost $6,000 USD. But so here we are. I was pleased, and I was also super surprised that all of this angst and anger and the way people are acting on planes now, and you see all this stuff all over social media, and they're taking the videos, and people are punching each other, and they're screaming and yelling. And yes, there are some consequences to that. I've seen that they, when they do it at the gate, they get them off the plane,
Yeah, before it takes off.
Before it takes off.
Right.
But this, I was thumbs up on this, man. I was really going, there's some consequences. Hello?
I am all about accountability
Yeah.
and responsibility, individually, but also collectively. Things are put in place to hold me accountable for my bad behavior. So it's not just others. I want to welcome it too. When I'm not behaving at my best, I want the universe to lift me up to a higher standard. And sometimes that means I'm going to have to pay a price for that.
I wish I knew what he was doing. It was a guy, right?
Yeah, it
I
was
wish
a
I
guy.
knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
But it doesn't even matter because, let's assume he's just being like that kind of maverick. Like he's just like, whatever, man, I paid for my seat. I'm going to do whatever
Right.
I want.
You
right?
can't tell me.
Yeah, you can't tell me. I'm going to do what I want. So what's interesting, where a lot of people end up these days is not, they don't get a consequence.
That's right. That's
So
exactly right.
They're more and more, this happens more and more because they don't have it. Well, now this guy actually has a consequence. Yeah. And if people knew about it, they might not, do something like that.
When we were raising foster kids, we had lots and lots of kids, and other parents would use the word punishment. And we did not have that in our vocabulary. It was consequences. Bad
Right.
behavior, there's consequences.
Right.
And it really, it made the equation of correcting behavior way more enjoyable and fun. Bad behavior means bad consequences. Good behavior means good consequences.
Right.
And I think we as a culture are raising ourselves, and what kids would do, the kids would go looking for the boundaries. Where are the borders? Where are the safe places? And if you don't give it to them, they're going to go find it. And they're going to go farther and farther
They're
and
gonna
farther
stretch
out.
it.
As the human race, as we know it today, are we so afraid that we're looking for the border for safety? Somebody hold me accountable. And if you don't put it on there, I'm going to go looking for it. So our behavior's gotten worse and worse and worse. So I'm all for this accountability and consequences.
So let me pull my inner mystic into this.
All right.
I already got the maverick. Let me pull the mystic.
Yeah, and there's the maverick
mystic
bad
in here.
behavior. You made the maverick sound like a bad guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe not.
Not necessarily, but yeah. So here's where the mystic comes in. So you can decide to do what you want, right? You have free will to make these decisions, right?
Correct.
So what what I don't suspect this gentleman did was think, if I do this, then X will happen, or if I do this, then X might happen.
Correct.
Right? So the mystic comes in saying, all right, I'm okay with the consequence. I got to do. That's why I wish I knew what he did.
Yeah, what he did.
But it's like, I got to do this, and I'm going to do it. And you know what? If that happens, fine. That's kind of like, okay. There's a little bit of wisdom in that, if I could call it that.
Sure.
I mean, because you're at least intentional about what you're doing, and knowing I might have a consequence. I'm okay with it.
Right.
The key word you used there was he thought.
Yeah.
Think, use
Right.
your mind. And I think most people are unconscious and they don't think.
My guess is going to be there wasn't a whole lot of thinking. It was all emotion based, and he just reacted. It's going to be my guess at what happened.
I would say
right?
that probably is true.
So what would the mentor say? I know as a coach, what I would be saying is like, all right, dude, like if I was on the plane, like, hey man, look at me. Let's take some breaths together. Like, take a breath.
Right.
Take a breath. Take her,
Well,
get him like trying to, calm down a little bit, whatever was going on. I mean, obviously he got out of control. So there was probably emotions involved.
Well, I think the other component in all of this is not just him, but it's others. And so, number one, we don't
He
know
wasn't thinking about others.
whether he got in conflict
Right.
with somebody
Oh,
else.
maybe. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And maybe they weren't in a very good spot, all right? That they didn't react well to him.
Right. Yeah.
Certainly, if he got sideways with any of the crew,
Right.
that becomes a whole nother type of issue. But I think it's important to just, as a mentor, that if it didn't happen beforehand, somebody comes alongside of him afterward and says, what could you have done differently?
That's where the mentor comes in. Okay,
Right.
it's not just the breathe, relax in the moment. It's, okay, you got a consequence. You got hit with a $5,000 fine. Let's breathe now, and let's be present to the learning that can happen.
Right.
Well, there's two moments in time there. The one, the breathing during is trying to affect what is about to happen because you can see it, right? I have this in coaching all the time.
It's gonna blow.
The afterwards, sometimes like after a match, I'll just say, hey, look, you go over there, grab some water, sit down. I'll talk to you in a few minutes because I know they just need time to kind of unwind. Not everybody can do it like right away.
Right.
But it's still good to do that.
Yeah.
Like let's now talk. That's the mentor. Like let's
agree.
knowing. I talk now or I wait to talk with them.
But that conversation right after, when they are ready, that you have with them is vitally important.
Sure.
Am I going to learn? Is the kid going to grow? Am I going to correct my behavior or the move on the mat to do better next time?
Right.
That's really important. And sometimes consequences and fines cause us to be conscious and awake to, I need to think differently.
Hopefully, I would say so. I mean, I think... I think you can make all sorts of excuses now if you want to go the other way about, well, that wasn't a reasonable, fine. I mean, he wasn't that bad, all that other kind of stuff. And I think we got to be really careful with that, all right? Then it tends to diffuse and it takes the wind out of the sails to where following up and having other airlines follow suit. And that was no pun intended, all right? That this becomes a little bit more high profile and knowable, and maybe it'll check some people at some point. That's all. I mean, I think.
Yeah, if people knew about it.
Right.
I look at my life, I am the person I am today because of the people that held me accountable to my bad behaviors.
Right.
To my mistakes. It's like, all right, suck it up, buttercup, let's move on and do better next time.
Yep.
Man, we beat this one up hard. This event,
We'll
we
go to
beat
the
it
next
up.
one. We'll go to the next one.
We
here.
worked it.
So
We're
there's some-
avoiding the ones that are coming up.
He's easing us in.
Okay.
Easing us in. Here we go.
So here we go. This was the headline,
Oh, here we go.
and I'm not going to flesh out the whole article. You may know who this guy is. You may not. I'm not sure that they got. So there's a guy named Russell Moore. All right. And he's been around a long time. He happens to be the editor-in-chief for Christianity Today. And he got this. As the editor, he got this question posed to him. So this was on the headline. All right. He wasn't the one that coined this.
But he answered it.
He did
Right.
answer it in
go
the
ahead.
whole
Yep.
post. Okay?
Gotcha.
So here is the question, the headline. Will your presidential vote send you to hell?
Whoa.
Okay.
Holy moly.
Aha.
Interesting.
Think about that. Okay.
Will it send you to hell? Wow.
So,
Well, let me be so bold to say that no matter who you're voting for, that your presidential vote can send you to hell based on the consciousness behind that vote. I am just
define
voting
hell.
over here
Yeah.
because I can't stand that person on the other side. They're such an SOB. Your hate and your anger has put you in hell.
So do we need to know anything about this article besides the
Well,
headline to
You're always
to
so much
address
smarter
it?
than I am. Seek more information.
here's where he went with this Christianity Today article, editor-in-chief.
Yeah.
Without using his name, he alluded to aligning with certain political people based upon their personality and some other kinds of stuff, and not using enough discernment. Okay. So his tagline down here is decisions made on election day have implications for judgment day.
Interesting. So he's speaking. Is it safe to say he believes he's speaking on behalf of Christians,
Well, no,
or
it's his
from a
opinion.
Christian perspective?
Yeah.
Like, is that because you said Christianity Today is
Well,
where
yeah.
he's the editor,
I
right?
mean, he's a Christian, and he's going to answer this thing from a Christian perspective.
what
so-
he believes.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
That's assuming there is a Christian perspective on that.
Yeah, right.
You know, I
Right.
got 1,000 Christian friends, and they all think differently about their religion.
Right.
I have some that say they're not Christians, but they're the most Christian people I know.
Yep. They act
My
like
wife is one of them.
Okay? But let's frame this now into how do you look at eternity, Judgment Day? What does your faith tell you about that? How can politics even weave its way into that? And what do you think that Russell Moore is implying here? What might he be implying when he says decisions made on election day may have implications for Judgment Day? Now, Rev just came up with a beautiful, I think, perspective on answering that. Okay. Well,
Right.
but I don't think Moore was going there. Okay.
No, I'm sure he was.
All right. So if you're out there and if you are you would read Christianity Today, you tend to think more orthodox or in a more fundamental way. How would you grid this?
Well, let me start with this. I only care about this if I believe in God and I believe in heaven and hell.
Okay.
Right. And I'm not going to, there's obviously people out there that don't.
Well, and they probably wouldn't be reading Christianity Today.
True, but we're, I mean, they may come across this and they may just overlook it. Like, it doesn't matter to me.
Right. Yeah, I don't care. Right.
Right. So I get, for purpose of the conversation, I'm going to assume that you believe in God or believe
Okay, I
in
think that's
heaven,
fair.
hell, whatever
Right.
that looks like.
You got to break those definitions down. I believe
Yeah.
in God can mean 10,000 different things.
Sure.
I believe in heaven and hell can mean
Yeah.
20,000 different things.
Well, it just means that you care about that. This headline is my point.
Yeah.
In it. So so the God, I guess I'll word it like this. The God that I believe in wouldn't judge me for any decision I make. He's gonna love me, and no matter what. That's what Jesus taught me. So to me, it almost doesn't matter what decision I make, because I know He's going to be there for me. That's who I believe God
Right.
is.
Okay.
A God of love, right?
Right.
I'm not saying He might not want something different for me, but I'm just saying that I don't think like all of a sudden I choose one person over another and boom, I'm out. Kind of like when I was still studying as a Catholic, right? And this is a true story. When I was still just in the Catholic Church, and for the very first time in my life, I had missed going to church on a weekend. So think about that. Like, I went all the way up till college, not ever missing going to church on the weekend,
can't even
right?
say I did.
Because
That good.
and when I did, then I'll never forget it. In college, I was like, "That's it. I'm not going to heaven, man. I'm out." I'm like, so I may as well do what I want because
Give
I'm
you
out.
free license now.
I mean, if you have that mentality, it's different. But
Well,
I don't have that mentality.
Well, here's where I come from.
Not anymore.
I've been sitting here at this table for the last 3 minutes in heaven, and in hell, all with this discussion. Starting with the hellish belief. What a stupid, manipulative question. I just put myself in hell with a place of judgment. So can I be more godlike and go, well, He's obviously trying to get to an end that's got a good reason, so let me just be non-judgmental and accept the question at face value. Then I'm in heaven. I'm not consumed with judgment. resentment and anger and hatred for a stupid, ridiculous question that I went back to hell.
So, Mac, I just want to point something out that the Rev just did, because we're sitting looking at each other, right? When he said, "Am I in heaven?" he looked at me. When he said, "Am I in hell?" he looked at you.
looked at me.
Just you know, just saying.
Thanks,
That's
Stu. Thanks for that. Hey, listen, thanks for listening, everybody. We're done here.
That's it.
I think you have a wonderful halo.
Thank you very much.
So read the
right,
the tagline again one more time, so we can.
All right. So decisions made on election day decisions made on election day have implications for Judgment Day.
Okay.
But let's not confuse one day for the other. So here's where I want to leave this one. Okay?
Interesting. Yeah.
This question and how you might answer it, or even if you asked it, speaks volumes as to how you look at God.
True.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're going to have your worldview that's going to be framed by how your God view or your Creator view or whatever your faith view might be. This is how you're going to grid this. And my comment about this is, when you pose a question like this and you even have a tagline like that, I think that you paint a picture, and I think Stu's already said this, you know, the Reb's already
What's
said
his
this.
name?
That you, him, this guy right here.
The one that said hell and looked at you.
You know, what it is you've created this whole thing about God that I think is wrong. That's just not mine. I'm just saying it's not my view of God. And like Stu's saying, it doesn't matter, because that's not where he'd go with it. Okay.
Yeah.
So can I be more godlike and go, it doesn't matter. Okay, that's his view. It's different than mine. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Do you?
I mean, this isn't me. I'm just saying I wouldn't go here because I don't look at God that way. You know, that's all I'm saying, you know. And I think that, you know, we each need to decide what role might God play, especially with this election coming up here. And it can be everything from blessing one candidate versus another.
Well, let me ask. I wonder what. I mean, we're going to have to make some assumptions, but I wonder what the intent was with sharing this headline, this article. Like whenever somebody writes something, there's a purpose. Like when I've written anything, it's like I want to get across a point. Like what? I didn't read the article, but is there a point that he's trying to make
again,
in the
right
article?
there.
Like, what's he trying to?
Let's not confuse one day for the other. Let's not tie election day. In other words, he's saying that if I vote for this candidate versus that candidate, down the road, it may cause me or others, you know, to face a judgment day differently than if I voted for this candidate versus this candidate.
So I guess it's like, look at every day, like the decisions you make every day you need to consider, I guess is what he's...
How does that mean? Yeah.
Is what he's saying.
Yeah, why would he isolate a decision on politics versus...
Right, any other decision that you make.
Good point. That's a good point. All right, so we're going to move on, guys.
All right.
Let me just say that Judgment Day is immediate. It's not at some far-off distant time. You're immediately judged internally for the decisions that you're making.
Yeah. Oh, there's a heavy one. We're going to leave you with that one in the break, gang. Ponder that one, okay? So we're going to leave you off here. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back with a couple of more if you're going to strap in. All right, take care.
Like what you hear so far? Join us in the Rogue Nation by going to our website, gorogue.life, where you will find links to our social media and podcast channels, posts on the MacNuggets blog, and a way to subscribe to all our happenings. We encourage you to become a member of our cafe, where you can interact with us and fellow Rogers and keep the conversation going. Please share us and like us. Now, let's get back to our Wise Guys.
All right, welcome back to the podcast, to the Wise Guys. And we've been talking about some headlines that may have been under your radar, or you may have seen, you may not have seen. But we've had a little fun with just what kind of perspective do you have when you do see this kind of stuff? What's the implications for you, whether or not you're in that particular circumstance ever in your life? But if, you know, you have to apply some maverick, mystic, and mentorship to these things with others as well as with yourself. So we did a couple of them already.
The softballs. I understand the hard balls
Right.
are coming.
The softballs.
We're still here without black eyes so
That's
far.
right.
So the black eyes are about to come out.
All right, so here we go. All right. So we're going to start this one
Uh-oh,
with
here we go.
this audio. Here we go.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country, and it's a shame. The people on television say my dog was taken and used for food.
I'm not taking this from
but
television.
the people
I'm
on
taking it from
television
the city
saying their
manager.
dog was eaten by... In Springfield.
Let's do it again.
In Springfield.
Play it again, Sam.
Let's
Eating the
play it again.
dogs, the people that came in, they're in Springfield.
We got to just keep hearing it. Is this hell right now? Is this the?
This is what the permanent loop is in hell.
They're eating the pets of the people
Oh, my
that
gosh.
live
I just love the
there.
Facebook
And
that they've
this
turned
is
it
what's
into a
happening.
song, and there's a guy singing and playing this
there-
reggae beat with it.
There are so many great memes about out this.
Food.
There's some songs, some
The
people
on
that.
taking it from
television
the city
saying their
manager.
dog was eaten.
He's still talking, but I'm going to tell you, Rev, being a musician, right? There's so many great like songs people
Oh,
wrote
unbelievable.
around this. Like I'm like, man, you're a good musician. Like, what are you doing writing a song about this?
But we have to come back in now thinking that we were coming in at the end of that.
Oh, okay.
All right,
Yeah.
Because I'm going to take.
Oh, you're gonna take
whole
all that
thing
out.
right
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Darn.
So
Darn, man.
So,
All right, so here we are.
All right. So there you go, guys. There's a little bit of a hardball throw. Yep, it's a politics, but hey, wait, this is a political year, and we can't be looking at the headlines.
So is
without
the-
talking anything about it.
Is the
Politics.
headline it's a vocal headline, not something that you read like in?
Well, no, I got
Is
a
there
headline too.
Oh, okay, let's hear it.
Yeah.
Let's
I
hear
got
it.
a headline. Okay.
All right.
So here's a headline, and there's tons of articles out there. Okay, so I mean, you just got to pick your flavor, right?
Sure.
Cats and dogs on strike everywhere in the United States.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
right.
see the memes.
Cats and dogs.
So
yeah.
here's what it says. It just exploded. Springfield woman claims she never meant to spark false rumors about Haitians. Okay? And then I'm going to read another line from that article just very briefly. The woman behind an early Facebook post, this is where this whole thing came from, that helped spark baseless rumors about Haitians eating pets, told NBC News that she feels for the immigrant community. All right, so there's the article. All right,
She. Wait. So she said something. She said this.
she said this. Yeah, she feels for the immigrant community. Now, that's all well and good, but what were you thinking?
It's a telephone game. Somebody said it. I heard it. I repeated it, and it gets repeated. And it's at the highest level of leadership.
Yeah.
Holy mackerel! It's a fire. And the book of James in the Newer Testament. I love it because it talks all about the tongue as a spark that can set off a wildfire, and that's exactly what happened.
Right.
And everybody participated in the fire.
Well, and this is the larger point, okay? I mean, everybody's seeing, for the most part, if you're watching the news over the last week, you've heard about all this and you've gritted it, however you in your mind and want to look at it, that's fine. I mean, whatever it is for you, that's great. We're not going to spend a lot of time here in the episode on that particular individual, other than to say what Rev's already said, that obviously, if I said that, not many people are going to care, okay? I mean, it's not going to get a lot of traction. You would care? All right. So it's not going to get a lot of traction. But when an individual like him says something like this, and believe me, I'm willing to give equal time to either side of the aisle. If something on the other side comes up as like that, I'm just going to say, hey, we'll talk about it. I don't have a problem with that, all right? But at this point...
There has been. It's not if.
Okay,
There's
then-
been things on both sides. I don't have anything specific. But I just know that
But I
there's
don't
been.
think it's been that big.
There's been.
I'm just saying, I'm sure there's been stuff on
Yeah, there's
both
been
sides.
plenty that.
Yeah.
Here's where I'm at with all this. Like, unfortunately, I can't believe anything I hear anymore out there. I hate to be that way. I don't know if that's probably part maverick. It's probably a little bit of mystic. There's probably some wisdom in that, and it's probably a little bit of mentorship. Like, don't. It's probably all of it together. It's like, don't just take. Unfortunately, you can't just take what you hear at face value, no matter where it's coming from, who it is.
Right.
Because right now we have the political situation happening. We have an election. Both sides are lying, making things up about one another. When one says, hey, you're going to do this, the other's like, no, I'm not. I'm not doing that. They just keep telling the same lie. So it's very frustrating as a citizen of this country to hear that, and so I end up tuning it all out.
Yeah.
Is what I do, because I can't trust any of it. I can't believe any of it. So I'm tuning it out, and I'm trying to get information my own way.
So what is that way? Because that's vitally important. Is where do I get, I call it headquarters or heart quarters. I've got to stop and engage my heart and my brain before my mouth is moving, before I react to whatever I hear. And yeah, I think it's all fake too. I don't think anybody's telling the whole truth and nothing but the truth. I've got to go to heart quarters and go, what does my gut, my heart, my lungs, my brain say about this before I act?
And so I don't sound too much like Chicken Little. I think that I think everyone is just trying to win.
That's
and
right.
It's
right.
And they'll say and do anything to win. And being a coach, I understand the need to want to win, the competitive spirit, but I'm teaching my athletes to do it legally, I guess I don't know what the right word is to use, but to do it within the rules of the engagement. I'm not teaching them to do anything dirty. There's plenty of dirty things you can do in wrestling to win matches. I'm not teaching them to do that.
Right.
I'm like, we're going to win this, fairly, using what we know, how we can score points, whatever. I'm talking wrestling, but this is true of anything. You're trying to win.
It's
right?
back to the rules and the regulations. Since I've been hanging out with you, Coach, I've got this feed all over my Facebook. I'm getting every wrestling match since the beginning of history. And there are wrestlers that are just cold cocking their opponent. They're losing the match. So they go into a boxing match. Broke the rules. There's a boundary. You lose.
Yeah.
But we don't have that litmus test. We don't have that boundary in our politics. Just punch away. Do whatever it takes to win, and we have devolved into barbarian behavior, not just with our physical actions, but with our words.
Here's the example, right? This is, so if you have, let's say you have a arm wrestling competition, right? You're across from one another, you're arm wrestling. I've seen it where one guy will just pop the other guy in the nose, right? And he gets a warning. He doesn't get, you got a warning, but now think about it. Like, you've just affected the competition unfairly.
$5,000 fine right there.
But they may not care about that. So there's, I don't know. That's just kind of where I'm at with all this kind of stuff.
I saw Mac raise his eyebrows. I want to know what he's thinking.
Yeah.
Let me call into your head.
Let's do it.
Here we are. I think that we're not going to, none of us sitting here, none of you guys listening out there are going to change that person, okay? That's not what this is about, all right? What this is about is, number one, we got to understand that when we speak, all right, and that's really what this is going to come down to. It isn't about him, all right? Because there's plenty of it going on, not just this individual, right? Okay, it's
not about him or her.
All right, the point being is that rumors are not victimless, all right? And so that talk that he gave had consequences, right? It affected other people. Whether what he said was true or it wasn't, okay? Or somewhere in between. That isn't even really my point. The point is that when you say something like that, when it comes from, like we're all talking about, a desire to win, so you're willing to say about anything, then there are consequences to that, whether it's to you directly or it's to others. And these poor people in this city, not just the Haitians, but the whole city has just been in turmoil because one person makes a statement like that. And again, even if it's true, why would you want to say it? Because of your objective and your mission to want to win. It's bigger than that, all right? And I think our speech has to be careful that we take into consideration when we speak, like James said, okay, in the Bible, it has consequences. And so we need to guard our tongues, and we need to be sensitive to, as wise guys, as mystics, more than anything, and mentors, we got to think about stuff like that. That's what I'm trying to get at from this example.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
The wisest guy in the, I'm sorry, I
That's okay.
The wisest guy in the room is never the one that's speaking the most.
Right. That's
The best leader is the one that waits until all the information's on the table before he asserts something.
Well, and then he's sensitive to others in that, okay? So that even whatever it is you want to get across, whatever point you want to make or whatever you want to say, I guess sometimes it takes some directness, and I understand that in life. Sometimes it does. But in general, to have a sensitivity for the ripple effect that your words can or do cause, I guess
That's so true. That's so true. And another current event article you could pull up is how one of the candidates almost got assassinated because of words people were using.
Yeah.
I mean, saying he's dangerous, he's threat to democracy. I mean, all that's the same thing. I mean, you're talking about the same thing, except in that case, like he's got 2 attempts on his life. The people in Springfield, hopefully they're not getting attempts on their life, but I know they're getting a lot of, I mean, it doesn't even matter what's happening. It's not a compared to what, but it's the same thing is happening no matter where you look. This is why I don't like listening to any of them because it's not good information in my brain. Like if I'm looking at the words as nutrients, like these are not good nutrients to eat from my body. These are not good for my brain. So I don't want to hear them or believe them or look at them. It's like I'm eating a bunch of sugar. It's like it's like I got like a pixie stick. Just pour the sugar down my throat.
But I told you in the beginning, we're different. See, I thrive on these words.
Well, the biggest lie that we're dancing around the edge of is the old silly phrase, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Names and words are the most potent power on the planet. The spoken word has destroyed many a life.
Well,
and I have friends whose lives were destroyed by an unkind, unthoughtful word that was just tossed out there. I was just kidding. Yeah, and you destroyed somebody's life over it. Engage your brain.
That's where we're getting. I mean, that's the big message in this particular headline. Okay. Now, does it have political ramifications? Yes, it does, because we even brought it up from a political standpoint. All right. So you can grid it however you want. Each of us has a perspective on that. Stu's pretty much already given his. Okay. So we all have our own.
By the way, I'm not going to let you get away with saying that. Okay, because I'm not like taking a side or anything. I am just sticking up for. There's things being said by everybody, and you're trying to put me into one camp by saying that, and I'm not. I'm not in any particular camp. I am just pointing out that no matter where you look, everybody is doing it right now. It's a problem in our society because everybody is doing it because they want to win. And it's like, and it's really sad to me. And you're talking to the coach, man. I want to win too, but I'm going to win. I'm going to win, playing the game fairly, I'm not going to have the officials on my side. I don't need that. One quick story. I remember when I was younger, just real quick. I remember when I was younger, my dad, I was watching the Browns play Pittsburgh, right? Big rivals. Okay. And I remember saying to my dad, I'm like, man, that Terry Bradshaw, that was when Bradshaw was playing.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, man, I just wish one of our guys would just take his legs out. Like, just take him out of the game, right? So we could win. Like that, because I wanted to win that bad. My dad looked at me and he goes, look, we want to beat them with their best and players in the game and when they're at their best.
Yeah.
So you would never want to do that. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow, like that kind of helped drive kind of how I think about things. It's like, give me the best guy at his best, ready to go, and I'm going to give it my all. And if I win, I win. If I lose, I gave it my all. You know,
I don't know if you guys watch college football, but I was just so happy for Kentucky, not even rated, playing the #1 Bulldogs, the Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah.
And up until the 8 seconds before the end of the game, they almost won and knocked Georgia out of first place in the rating. But it's like the respect of both coaches and all the players on that team. We were playing at our best.
Right.
Didn't come out on top today, but hey, good game. Good race.
Well, this discussion, as we got, let me herd the cats back.
Bring us back.
Okay.
We went to sports. We love
just
sports.
don't eat me for lunch.
That's right. Whoa. Okay.
Wait a minute.
Here's what we're going to take away from this headline is that we have words that we speak and we can control that. All right. And a sensitivity to others as well as the harm that those words can do to ourselves. We need to be conscious of, and we all need to probably do that a little bit better, all right?
Yeah,
even if it's off your radar, even if you're not thinking directly about it, you need to cultivate a presence that typically just won't even go there. But even if it does, you got to be smart enough and wise enough to realize when you do, and it might hit your head, but don't let it come out your mouth, okay?
Right.
Everything that comes into your head does not have to come out of your
Well,
mouth.
here's what I do. I think about the relationship, honestly,
Yeah.
even if it's somebody I don't know well. And I think, okay, if I say this, and thankfully over the years, I've been able to develop this in this muscle memory in me. And I think, okay, if I say it this way, or if I say this, it's gonna affect the relationship negatively. Do I want that, or do I care about that? For me, I typically do. So I don't.
Right.
I choose not to maybe make a point about something I believe in because I care about the relationship more than I care about being right. You know, it's kind of how I look at it.
What's the Buddha?
So-
What the Buddha or the Dalai Lama? Somebody said, "Is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary?" And if it is not, does not meet that test, don't speak it.
Rev, did you just call me the Buddha?
You are the Buddha.
No, he's got too much hair.
You're in heaven. You're the Buddha.
head
All right.
and get a big belly. I don't have that either.
either. Come on, you two. All right. Come on. All right. So I have one more.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Do either one of you have something you want to
No,
add?
bring it on.
I love
All right.
picking on yours.
All right. So,
It's safer.
okay. All right. That's fair.
Actually, I kind of brought one up in the last one, but that we kind of went over it
Yeah,
quickly.
yeah, we
But
did.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
So,
So here's another one. This will probably be our last one for this episode.
alrighty.
9/11, which just we just passed.
Just
that,
had
right?
it. Yeah.
9/11 victims deserve transparency, not a plea deal with terrorists. All right, now a little background to this. Since the terrorist attacks 23 years ago, every day, this person that's writing this, every day I represent people with claims before the federal 9/11 Victim Compensation Fund. All right, these are the survivors,
Okay.
and probably people as well that survived it, but maybe they're crippled or whatever that might be. All right.
Okay.
Not one has told me they have been asked about plea deals. Now we're talking about plea deals with people that have been convicted of doing, perpetrating the 9/11.
Right.
So here's the plea deal, just so you have the background as we get into this. This plea deal, which sought to remove the death penalty from consideration, represented a critical misstep in the pursuit of justice for the 9/11 community. All right. Now, I wasn't part of that. I wasn't there. I didn't lose anybody. I personally wasn't affected by it. So I'm not going to try to say that I can understand where these people are coming from 23 years later, all right? My first comment about this is, what would you consider justice? There's the key word in why I put this headline in here. That if these people are looking for justice,
The 9/11 victims, families,
correct.
victim families. Okay.
Victims, again,
Right.
they could be people that were in the building and just,
Right.
got hurt or whatever it might be.
They're looking for justice.
Or
Okay.
the families
Yeah.
of the people that died.
Gotcha.
Okay. So I think that's a very interesting word. And not only is it an interesting word, just from a civil, from a court, I want a judgment so that I can get compensation, or I
Right.
want the guys to die because I think that's justice.
Yep.
When you frame the word justice, you also frame your view of God as well again, okay? Because a large portion of the world, I'm going to say from a Christian standpoint, will grid God from a justice standpoint, okay? What does that look? Is God just? Is God fair? Is there a judge? We just already went through it.
Right.
Judgment day in the one above, all right?
Yeah.
So let's flesh out a little bit when we think about the word justice. What does that mean for you? What does that mean for us? And as wise guys, if we apply wisdom to that word, what might justice look like if you're going to apply it to something in your own life?
Well, for fear of stepping on the Rev's toes, I'm going to talk about the Bible for a moment. So it depends on the God that you believe in, the Old Testament God or New Testament God, right? Old Testament God, you're being struck down. What's the word? Struck down. Struck down. You're being struck down, right? New Testament, you're loving your neighbor. You're loving your enemy, and you're letting God take care of it. So that's where that's where I land the plane is like, God will take care of the things God needs to take care of. I'm not here to do that. And if I had a brother or somebody that was there and they died from it, I hope I would say the same thing. I know I would have emotion and feeling about it, but I hope I would feel that way, like let God take care of it. And
I think
that's not my...
The question would also be, well, okay, if you get justice, I want justice in this.
Yeah.
I can't
What is
begin
that?
to crawl into the heart and the mind and the pain of those who lost family members, fathers, brothers, kids. But I do know I've seen people who experienced great tragedy, who, the person who committed the tragedy shot their son or did whatever, it was put to death. There was no relief for that person.
Right.
Until they could find the capacity to forgive.
Yes.
So justice is a very subjective term. And what might be, justice for me might be the $5,000 the guy has to pay on the plane. For somebody else, that's not enough. For others, that's not fair. The reality is I need to find the capacity within my own heart to release myself from the pain, the betrayal, the difficulty, the behavior of other people. And then we get back to that consequences. We as a nation decide on certain consequences for certain behaviors before they happen. And there were certain things with this particular case that were put in place. And now we're trying to shift the agreed upon. So I understand the pain of those. Wait a minute, we agreed upon a justice, a punishment for the behavior, and now it's being changed. So I want to crawl into their skin with some compassion and go, that's hard.
Yeah.
And as a member of the United States, we haven't agreed upon, whether I believe in the death penalty or not, there's an agreed upon consequence for certain heinous, evil behaviors.
But you make a really great point about forgiveness. I mean, one of the things I've learned over the years is forgiveness isn't for the other person, it's for you.
Yep.
And I've heard this analogy once. Mac will know this analogy, but it's like drinking rat poison and waiting for the rat to die. So you make a really great point in saying that, and I've seen people do the same thing. Like they've received the justice, whatever it is,
they don't feel any better,
any different. It's because they're not allowing themselves to let go. And I know that's hard, man. I know I'm saying it like it's so easy, but it can be. Like I believe that, but it's not. I know that it's not.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot involved in it, a lot of emotion, and that's tough to do. But you will. That's how you're going to get justice, to me, if you're able to do that. So Rev makes a great point there.
Again, this is perspective. Right? What perspective do you right now have on the idea of justice? And maybe it's easy for you to come to a conclusion because there's never really been anything tragic happen, or there's nothing hanging right now in your life that, as the Rev was explaining, people that he's had, or Stu's been talking about the people, in 9/11. It's hard for you to realize. It's hard for you to climb into their shoes. But at the end of the day, what's around the corner? We have no idea in our life what's around the corner. And so how well either we can handle what we feel is injustice, because if there's justice, nobody's complaining about anything, okay? But if you feel that there's injustice, there's the problem. Now, how do you deal with that? And really, you got to look inward. That's what we're talking about here, all right? But again, I want you to understand that however you frame justice, I think, as Stu was saying, we got Old Testament view of God, we got New Testament view of God, and I still think in the New Testament, at least from the church's standpoint, we still have a judgmental God that's judging us from a sin standpoint, and that's why we need a Savior. All right. Now, we've talked about this a lot of different times on episodes, so I'm not going to get too deep into that. But understand that frames your worldview.
Well, let's frame it this way: bringing all these things in, heaven or hell.
Yeah.
My inability to forgive, even if you're put to death because of what you did to my family, my inability is going to put me in hell. I'm living, re-victimized by what happened to my family over and over and over again. That is absolutely hellish. The ability, and I only have my own history, which is not nearly as tragic as what you were talking about here, but I can use the template of my life to go, when I was able to go, justice was served or justice wasn't served. If I can't find peace in either part of that equation, that's where heaven is, then I'm putting myself in a place of hell. I'm allowing myself to be re-victimized over and over again, and that's hell.
Well. So this was, I don't know if I can say that this was fun. We were trying to make it
I
fun.
love these light, fluffy
You
topics.
promised it was going to be fun
I
tonight,
did.
Mac.
I know I did. I said it was going to be fun. So at the end of the day, I do hope you got something out of it. I hope there was some ponder points at least, whether you maybe agreed with our perspective or you didn't or whatever. At least think a little bit, because I think we've given you some stuff to think about, in other words, all right? And I think it will make a difference. I really do. We all think that, or we wouldn't be doing the episode, all right? So, take away those nuggets. And we've just got one thing that we want to challenge you with as we leave, right? That your ongoing mission, should you choose to accept it, is to decide to go rogue. Find like-minded rovers, strap on the armor, storm the gates, and what I mean by that is storm the gates of ignorance, of complacency, all right? And unleash the unthinkable. So that's what we're called to, gang. Okay, that's what we're called to. So know for a fact that we love that. We hope you're doing it. We hope we can encourage you in it. Guys, thank you.
Yeah.
And I think of you, I think of heaven, not just hell.
Thanks
The rest
much.
been thinking about that the whole episode.
I
feel bad, man.
You've given me a complex. Oh my God. But thanks, guys. I know this was
is
one
fun.
I kind of
Yeah.
brought to the table and you kind of had to navigate it. But you know what? It's all fun. It's all good. Thanks so much. And we will catch all of you on the flip side next week. Thank you.